So, for example, let's just dissect some of the things in here that I find kind of interesting. And again, this connects to what I was trying to do in the class as well. So let's look at the forearm, right? And let's look at the triceps of the slave. And it looks from here, from any angle, it looks big, right? It looks muscular. This guy is looking strong, right? Even though there are proportion wise, there's just well, this is just Michelangelo. It can be the whole, just countless of hours, I guess. I can talk about what I see here. Not the point for this video. I'm just trying to talk about the triceps. So they're big, right? There's something about them that make them look strong and muscular. If we are to look at them from this angle, for example, what we see is almost like a flat plane, right? So between the muscles of the triceps, right, we see this kind of plane, right? And the muscles themselves, they're somewhere here and here. And what I see more today, right, again, and I'm talking purely about the 3D realm, quote unquote, what I see is more of that, right? Like making things just bigger, making things more pronounced, so to such a point that, again, just like what I said, making anatomy for the sake of anatomy, that we know that there is a triceps, so we're going to make them as clear as possible, right? And we know the shape of the triceps, so it's going to be almost like an egg shape, and then we do something like that, and this is the triceps, right? So, okay, fine, that's okay. It's just that if we are to make all of the muscles this way, we inevitably getting to the point where everything is just standing out like that, right? And this is so common that what I see, right? And this is something that I wanted to show in the class as well, that this is not what makes the surface look powerful. This is not what makes the human body look powerful. It's not even a style. It's just some strange way of doing something to make it look natural, right? To indicate that there is something in there. Whereas in here, something is already in there and it's beautiful, and it doesn't really require any of this craziness that we sometimes tend to put in here, right? And so if we compare, or I guess if we look at a 3D scan of this guy, his triceps are just gigantic, right? It's just so big. But if we look at this angle, again, something similar to what we saw with Michelangelo's slave, it's not like we see huge eggs in here, right? Huge egg in here. It's not that. It's from this view, things are fairly, well, tight, right? It's massive, but it's not standing out. Well, from here it does, obviously, but it doesn't do any of these crazy things that we get to see, right? Again, anatomy for the sake of anatomy, just doing this exaggerated stuff, so to indicate that this is a tricep. And another thing that I wanted to talk about while we are here, because doing something like that, right, exaggerating things and perhaps even trying to capture that's fine, in a sense that sometimes some projects, they need this kind of a attention, right? They need this kind of a treatment. And I'm going to just hide everything except for this portion. So sometimes some projects, especially in the film industry, we are required, let's put it this way, we are required to make the most realistic thing that is possible. And that involves making all those situations that we, for example, see here, right? We see the situations of the trapezius, that, right, the muscles, the fibers, right? We get to see them because the guy is so lean, right? Everything here is visible. And my question is, do we really need that? Right? Do we need to study this to such an extent that we, every single time we make something, we put it in here? And going back to again Michelangelo, if we compare, let's say, that to that, like, which one is a stronger piece, right? Which one evokes more feeling? The one that has all the situation, the most realistic one, or the one that is done in such a way that all of the beauty, all of the kind of fundamental stuff that is under the noise, right? This kind of noise is visible to us. Which one is a more powerful piece? And to me, yeah, Michelangelo's work is definitely, but to me, it's more powerful than what we see on a real person, on a real scan, right? It's not like Michelangelo, wasn't able to make those details. If anything, that's the person who would be able to do that. There is definitely reasons why he didn't do those, right? This was different time. There are limits. Let's put it this way. There are reasons why people from, let's say, 500 years, they weren't making human bodies or just human figures the way Michelangelo was doing, right? There's some limitation on consciousness, I guess. That's another way, I guess, to put it. So there are different reasons why Michelangelo, for example, wasn't making those situations. I would argue, though, still that the another reason for that is because it just simply is not important. But actually, if I remember it correctly, we do get to see some of the situations that he made. So, for example, here, just a little bit of it, right? But even that is just bigger, kind of more interesting, more important than just having situation for the sake of situations, right? And this is going back to what I said about this whole obsession with detail that we get to see and we get to do. Is just the detail, the most realistic thing possible. That's what we need to make. The game is over if this is what we're trying to make, if this is what we're trying to do as artists, to achieve the most believable, the most realistic human body. The game is done, the game is over, because this is it. Right, we get to scan people now and we get to put them in 3D. That's it. There's no way to go from here. And if we are really thinking about what we are doing is trying to mimic and trying to capture every little thing that we see on the human body, every little noisy detail like that, right? If that's what we're trying to do, we are losing the game. We already lost the game. That's just the pure fact of it, right? There's no point in making this anymore because we get to buy it online. We get to go and work in those studios where we have all the technology that allows us to put the human body into a project, right? Into, for example, here into ZBrush. So in that sense, we've already lost. Right? If we are trying to make details, if we're trying to achieve the most realistic surface that is possible, so we've lost that game. And I think what we need to do, perhaps, is to go back, right, and just observe and just study what we get to see here. Like what makes this just so beautiful? What makes it objectively a masterpiece? Like why people go from all over the world to see Michelangelo? Partially, of course, there is just the hype, right? Because he's a genius, or people like to see geniuses and get in touch with what they've done. Fine, get it. But there is other aspects of that, right? There's other reasons why this guy, this person, has done something so significant that even all those years later, 500 years later, right, that we still consider him to be the genius, the master that is just kind of unbeatable. And I shouldn't probably say unbeatable, because I am myself encouraging this whole idea of competition, right? This whole idea of kind of getting better and trying to just achieve something. It's already achieved. It's here. What we need to do is we need to take what we see here, take what the person achieved and implement into our own work somehow, right?